Hello, everybody. Is anybody there? Okay, so good evening, everybody. If you've joined us this evening, if you can just post a comment and say hello, that'd be fantastic. So you might be a bit surprised to see me instead of Victoria. Unfortunately, Victoria has had to drop out this evening, but she's asked me to stand in, and I'm here with the wonderful Victoria Remington-Smith, who I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the last 12 weeks while we've been doing our virtual coffee catch-ups on a Wednesday. So it's a nice chance for me, as well as everybody else, to find out a bit more about her and what she's doing today. So hello, Victoria.
Hello, Deborah. You okay? I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I am just seeing who is on here. Okay, just checking in. Okay, a few people. Okay, fantastic. So, first question is, basically, how are you coping in lockdown? And also, yeah, how are you coping in lockdown at the moment?
We've been home working now for, I'd say this is nearly our 14th week. It's going well. I've got 2 children, so they're here with us. They're nearly 10 and 5. So it's a little bit hectic at times, but we're getting through each day. It's easier now that we can go out more often than we were able to before. But yeah, it's we live in a small village, so yeah, it's been an experience. That's what I'm going to say.
And whereabouts in the UK are you based?
We're in West Yorkshire, in a little village in between Huddersfield and Wakefield.
Okay. Which village are you in?
It's called Horbury.
Horbury. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. And have you lived there long?
Have I lived here long? I think I moved over when I was 22. Paul, my husband's from here.
Okay, very nice. Okay, lovely. So today's all about you and finding out about who you are and what you do. So if you can tell us a bit about your current role, who you're working for, and how long you've been there. Yeah.
Okay, so I work for Collaborative Procurement Partnership. I am the executive assistant to their managing director, Helen, and I also have my team underneath me, the admin team that look after the admin service. I started in September 2018. Yeah, it's great. We have an office in Sheffield, an office near Wakefield, and an office in Newcastle. So we've got staff all over the country. A lot of home workers. Normally, in the normal situation, we'd have a lot of home workers, but now obviously everybody's at home. But yeah, so Collaborative Procurement Partnership has a contract from the Department of Health to run 3 of the category towers, part of the NHS supply chain. We were awarded Tower 2, Tower 4, and Tower 5. Probably means nothing to you.
So what does that mean? What does towers mean?
So the category towers are, we've got Tower 2, which is sterile consumables, Tower 4, which is ophthalmology and orthopedics, and Tower 5, which is women's health rehabilitation, which covers wheelchairs, stoma products, and everything to do with getting somebody, beds, mattresses, all the products that to do with rehabilitation. I can't say that word. Yeah, so we've been awarded from the Department of Health the contract for 3 years.
Okay, so you sound extremely busy at the moment. Regardless of COVID, it's kind of an industry that is always needing those kind of supplies. So how long have you been working with Helen for, and what's your relationship like with her?
Oh, it's fantastic. She's amazing. It's September 2018 I started working for her. She travels in the normality. She travels a lot, so I'm supporting her. But we didn't see each other as much as maybe other teams, EAs and whoever they look after. But now it's kind of great because we were an agile workforce anyway, so we've got all the technology and the communication and things. But we have catch-ups every day over Teams, and it works really well. Does the virtual meetings and things that we're holding.
Okay, and You said that you oversee a team of admins.
That's right. Yeah.
How many people report into you, and how do you find it managing?
Well, I did have a team of 4. Then we went down to 3, and then I've had people have moved sideways within the company. We encourage development and growth, and people have moved to different teams. So at the moment I have one. He's fantastic. So he went to home working before I did because he was on public transport. So we took the health, his health seriously, and asked him to work from home. The virtual catch-ups that we have every day and the one-to-ones can still work in the same way because the technology is so good. So that's not impeded us at all. That's really positive.
Okay, fantastic. And do you have to do like PDPs and mid-year reviews? Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, everything.
And how long is this male? Is it a male PA?
Yeah, Alex. Yes.
Alex, how long does Alex work with you for?
He started with us in November, so he's still quite new.
Yeah, oh, fantastic, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you for sharing where you currently are. If we go back a bit, so coming out of school at 16, what did you think that you would like to do at that age?
Okay, so I stayed on to do my A levels. So at the school I was at, but I was very much wanting to become an actress because that's where my head was at. I studied drama, theatre, music, all the arts, Englishes and things, all the way up to A level. Yeah, so I wanted to be an actor. It didn't go to plan, as you can tell.
That's okay. Did you do any drama lessons growing up, or?
We had singing lessons. My sister and I were in a really fantastic choir, like a private choir, nothing linked to school. It was we actually toured Germany a couple of years, and we were only, I'd say I was 11, and she'd be 13, and we went to Germany without our parents, just with the older choir members, and we sang, because we're twinned. Leeds are twinned with Dortmund, so we sang there. They came here, so yeah, it was wonderful. So we did a lot of singing, and we still do.
Right. And what kind of music do you sing?
Choral stuff. So I'm a soprano, so hymns and classical music mainly.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you to sing. So, but we will make a note of that for future, maybe EPAA conferences where we need some.
Oh God.
So if you could talk me through maybe coming through A levels, about the first role and actually how you actually got into being a PAEA.
Yeah, of course. So I finished my my A levels. I didn't maybe do as well as I'd hoped, with various distractions of when you're 18, I suppose, and everybody goes through that. So I left, and I was going to go to university. A lot of my friends did, but I didn't have the support, I suppose, in play. I didn't have the support in place at that point. My parents hadn't been to university, and my grandparents hadn't been to university, so it was unheard of. It was new territory. So instead, my mum instilled a very good work ethic into me, and she said, go get a job. So I did. I went to be a florist. That's the same. So that's what I did. I worked.
I'm just putting a black tick against your name there.
Are you okay? So I singing tick, floristry tick. Yeah. I did. I went to train in Leeds for a fantastic florist for nearly a year with a lady there who had her own business, a family business. It's still there actually, and worked there. And it was hard. It was hot in the summer and cold in the winter. You're on your feet all day, but it was beautiful. The smell of the flowers when you walk into another florist takes me back. It's just beautiful. I love flowers. They're just amazing.
And how long were you there for before you decided it wasn't for you?
I'm going to refer to my list, but I think I was there about probably just under a year. I think the money was it was poorly paid, because I'm an apprentice, so they could pay you 50p. I mean, everybody wants a job at that point. So yeah, so I moved on, and I went to work in recruitment, but as their receptionist. So another firm in Leeds. Yeah.
And so after the recruitment firm, where did you
So the funny thing is, the recruitment firm, obviously back in, it was 2000, 2001. So at that point, there was the temping was just high level, wasn't it? It was, you could get a job at the drop of a hat. So I'd gone in to be their receptionist, and then been there a while, really loved it, got to know everybody. And then one day they said that they had a temp that hadn't come in for another firm in Leeds, and they needed someone to go, and they could release me. So could I go and work at this other firm for a day? I was like, okay. So I went, and I loved it. So when they advertised for a job, I left and went to work for MediaWorks, which was a media marketing company across the other side of Leeds. Really up and coming, too cool for me, but really cool people. Yeah, that was really nice. So I stayed there 9 months with them. Same thing, reception, admin, at the bottom, but you kind of got involved in everything, events, everything that was going on. And then I went to work from there. I went to work at an insurance company called UKI Insurance, which is sort of part of Green Flag. Have you heard of Green Flag?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a big call centre in Leeds, and they covered, I worked in insurance claims. So when people had car accidents or break-ins, fires, they'd call us on the teams, and we'd sort it out for them. We covered all sorts of different insurance companies, Tesco, Privilege, all sorts. And that's where I met my husband.
Okay. And what role were you doing there?
We're a claims handler. So you'd be straight on the phones with the beep in your ear and hello, welcome to whichever, can I help you, take your policy number? Helping on the front line, helping them, really. Yeah. And then I stayed there for 2.5 years, and went into the specialist fire and theft team. So you were doing more specialisms, helping different people rather than being on the front calls. You were not investigating, because we had engineers, but doing that next level in.
Okay. And so at what point did you move into a PA role?
I went from there to temping at a bank on the switchboard when they used to have switchboards, and then I worked at a flooring company, again, administration, accounts, reception, and then my first PA role, I was 21. I went to work at a law firm.
Okay. So how was your first experience in that profession, working for a law firm?
Oh, I loved it. It was amazing. I've still got friends from there now. It was fantastic. It really was. I worked in IT though, so I worked for 6 of the IT directors. And IT was a little bit less, I suppose, stringent in your behaviours and things. They're a little bit more laid back. But yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, I worked for DLA Piper.
And when you arrived, did they give you any training, or you just kind of found your way around the role?
I think because it was IT, we were in a slightly different, because we weren't having to do the fee earner. We weren't having to be with a fee earner where it's quite strict with what you do at month end and all that. So we had a lot more leeway and things. I worked for an amazing lady called Joyce, who's still my friend now, and she was PA to the Chief Information Officer, and I was the PA to these directors, but her assistant, if you like. So we were like, it was really, really good.
Okay, fantastic. And then moving on from the law firm?
So I worked at the DLA for 5 years, and then they'd had a restructure, and I decided I wanted to move into telecoms with them, which is still in IT, but programming phone switches and VoIP and loads of different things. Probably changed a lot now, but we had to go on masses of training to do it. So I moved into that team, but then unfortunately after a year they made me redundant, because they'd restructured that particular team and they didn't need the admin on that, telecoms admin. So I was made redundant, but came out with a good package. And at the in-between times, before I'd moved to the telecoms team, I'd wanted some development. So I'd spoken to them about going to university and doing a degree. So they'd offered to sponsor me.
Oh, wow.
At that point.
Wow.
So yeah, so I was able, whilst at DLA, to start doing my business degree, but part-time. So I used to work full-time, and then go to evening class twice a week for 4 years. It sounds ridiculous, but, and I'm not sure I'd have the energy to do it now, but back then, it was the next progressive thing, because I didn't go to university originally like I wanted to, but I'd still had that passion to want to return. So I went to and studied that locally for 4 years. And then when they made me redundant, I was able to finish that because they'd in effect paid for it, and it was part of my package. Just like, okay, you don't have to pay that back.
Yeah.
Go. In between times, we'd bought a house. When I got my redundancy from DLA, we got married. Because it's romantic, to use your redundancy to get married, but there you go. And then whilst I was studying, continuing to study, we had our first child. So, I like to do it all, kind of just get it in there. Just so when I graduated my degree, I had Henry, who's my big one, in arms. He was 9 months old. So,
wow.
Yes.
No mean feat. Wow, good for you. My God.
Yeah.
And what do you think? How was your experience of going to university at a slightly later age than if you'd done it originally? Did you?
I really wanted to do it originally. I really did. I'd still go back now. I did feel for a lot of years that I'd missed out, if you like, inverted commas, on that experience that my friends were all having whilst I was working. But I think I got a different experience with different friends who I wouldn't have met if I'd have gone to university. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard to get up, go to work, do my PA role, because I was doing that in the majority of it, and then leave and go to uni Tuesday night, and then get up, go, because I was commuting from our little village to Leeds to go to work and then back, and it was exhausting, absolutely exhausting, but worth it, definitely.
I can imagine. So you had Henry. You took some time out from maternity leave?
I took 9 months, but in between times, I'd left DLA after the redundancy, and I went to work at the University of Leeds. Okay. So I'd left in the November, and I got a job pretty soon. I was able to start in the January. So we'll go back a step, but I was able to start in the January. We got married in that March because, I said I like to do things really quickly. We got married within 6 weeks of arranging it.
Wow.
And not because of children. I had a relative that I wanted to come to our wedding. He was poorly, my granddad, and so we pushed the wedding forward. And as a personal assistant, events is here, isn't it? So I arranged everything and to a T, and did all the favors and everything else. But unfortunately, he didn't make it. He missed it by 2 weeks. But he had lung cancer. So it's a sad time but a happy time. So it was hard, but so I went to work at the University of Leeds as a research assistant for the Nuffield Institute, which is still there and has some amazing academics that work out of there. I started there in the January. I looked after how many? I'm just referring to my notes. 1 second. I can't remember how many academics I looked after. I think it was 4. So they work with master's students from Africa, China, India, and they teach them masters in public health, masters in hospital management, and what was the other one? Nope, can't remember the other one. But and then they did the BSc intercalated for the British students who were going to become doctors. So we got a lot of fantastic people through the door, and we did a lot of, even as administrators, research assistants, we did a lot of pastoral care with the students who were from abroad because they were missing their families and their friends. And so our roles didn't really stop. We were still offering that, come in and talk to us, and are you okay, and all that. It was really, really interesting. Really, really interesting.
So you had a little child at home, and then you had some big kids to look after when you're at work as well.
Well, yes. Well, actually, I had Henry in the February 11. So I'd started with the uni in 2009 and then worked with the Nuffield Institute for, I suppose, just 2 years. And then had Henry, so went on maternity leave, had Henry.
Okay.
And then I had 9 months off with Henry, and wanted to return, but my flexible working request was denied. So, and that happens because we have to be realistic, don't we? It sometimes doesn't fit. So I'd seen a job advertised internally at the university for the grade above, working for a new position, working for one of the deans. So I applied for that and I got it. So I was able to return 3 days a week on the higher grade, working for the Dean of Postgraduate Research, which was a fantastic opportunity. Yeah, really good.
So one door closes, another always opens. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we have to remember that sometimes, don't we? Especially in the current climate at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So what was your boss like at the time there? You know, what was your role?
At the PA to the Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was a new post for them and a new post for me that had been created.
Okay.
The department was postgraduate research studies. So I had one dean called Paul, who has since gone on to be a vice chancellor at another university. Excuse me, and he was fantastic. And because it was a new role, we were able to mold it together. So to make it what we needed to do, and there was loads of committees, and he travelled a lot. So I had to do a lot of visas, a lot of travel arrangements, itineraries. He went to, I want to say China. I think he went to China, and he travelled a lot because he represented the university, and he encouraged the master's students and the postgraduate students to come over. And then at the same time, he had postgraduate students who were doing their PhD, so he supported them with their vivas and stuff. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. It was nice. And then Paul was with me for I think a year, and then he left to further his career. And I got another gentleman called Edward, who's a completely different. So with the dean, the deans, they have a specialty. But they also have another role in the university at the same time as doing this particular job. I'm not entirely sure if that role's still there now. But the first dean was head of engineering, and the second dean was an academic in English. So they were very different personalities as well. So you have to be quite adaptable, I suppose, and as every PA is. Edward wrote and still does write books on Second World War. That's his specialty. And he was a completely different character to Paul, but they were both wonderful, just in completely different ways. I make a joke because we had a shared office with some of the other assistants who worked for the directors and stuff. And because I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Edward would walk up from his English office, and I'd offered him the iPad and said, when he first started me, and said, look, use this and you can just email me. But he said he'd walk up and write me letters. So I'd come in on a Tuesday and the girls would be like, he's written you another letter. And I was like, wow. Of all the things that he'd like me to do. And I was like, you can email me, but you didn't want to. It was really, really lovely. So he was with me until I went off on maternity the second time with Oliver, who is 5, nearly 6.
And so do you feel at the time that you felt valued in the role that you did? Did they understand what a PAEA was, working in a university environment?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. And we had a network as well, which was fantastic. It was run by the Vice Chancellor's PA. That was really lovely because I've not actually been in a network except for this one in a workplace since, but the university, and it probably still does, has that. They also had a training for us, which is like empowering, and I think it was just for women back in the time, but I'm sure it's for everybody, called the Springboard course, where the names are terrible, but yes, the names are terrible, but it's to empower you to be able to do what it's really good.
Fantastic. And over the years, when you've told people about what you do for a career, what has people's perceptions been? do you feel?
Of what I've chosen to do.
So if you say something, what do you do? I'm a PA or I'm an EA. Your friends kind of go, or they're like, oh, that's really exciting, or just when you're out and about. And
I don't think people get it. I don't. I was so excited when I got my job with Helen. I told my dad, and I told him I was like so excited, and he was like, Vicky, what do you do? And I'm like, Dad, I'm an executive assistant. It's really good. He was just like, okay.
oh.
He had his own business. He was a sheet metal worker, so it's poles apart. Know what that was. I struggled for a long time to get, in my early days, to get people to understand that actually we're not just secretaries. To have that value, for them to understand that there's more that we can give, and that it's not it's not as it was, tight skirts and just we can say anything. It's just a little woman. Do you know what I mean? I hate that. I absolutely hate it. I'm an advocate for people to just be true to themselves and to be appreciated in their jobs. I think it's getting better. I think there are still some firms who will try and push that, try and underhandedly do it, but thankfully I don't work for any of those, so that's good.
So from the university, is that when you are at your company now? Or
no? I can get on my list. I know, terrible. So I had Oliver and decided to take an extended maternity, and in between times there was some restructuring at the university, so they'd said that I'd obviously taken maternity pay because and I thought I was going back, and then they'd said that there was some changes and I didn't need to pay my maternity leave back, so I was like, well, fantastic.
Oh, wow.
But I think in between times the jobs may have changed in with the funding, because they were all funded externally, excuse me. So I then had 3 years off with both children, but mainly with Oliver because Henry was at school. And I'd had a hard but successful journey to choose to breastfeed Oliver, because I hadn't been able, this is relevant, I promise, hadn't been able to feed Henry myself. So it had been really, really hard, and I got lactation support, but I carried on and carried on and carried on, and I fed him till he was 3. And I decided to then train to be a breastfeeding peer supporter in the area, to give that back, that expertise and that advice to other families wanting to breastfeed, but and any feeding, because I did speak to people about we spoke about formula feeding as well, but there was people I spoke to about being able to, if they were adopting, and then be able to get breast milk, and then there's other ways of them being able to feed to get that same bond. So yeah, I trained with a company locally called Locala, which looks after Kirklees. It's an area in West Yorkshire that looks after their health service. So I applied and had an interview and went on their training. Loved it, made some fantastic friends that I'm still friends with now. And we were placed into children's centres to help parents, caregivers, offer advice, a friendly face when they were getting their babies weighed. And I was able to help people to feed, and if they had any issues, they would come and see me, and we'd try and help. So yeah, that was really lovely.
And was that a voluntary role?
That was voluntary.
That was amazing that you'd obviously been through that yourself, and actually you were able to kind of pay it forward, as you say, to share yourself with somebody else in with your support.
You just want to empower the people to know that and that doesn't matter which way anybody chooses to feed, but to know that they're good enough and they're doing an amazing job, because being a parent is hard. And I just don't think sometimes people are given that support. And I think it's really important to be that friendly face, to be like, it's okay, I've been there, I know it's tiring, it gets better, I promise, you know, because sometimes you need that. I needed that after I'd had Oliver, and it was so hard. But yeah, so I did that, and I helped some ladies, and some families, because obviously the gentleman came with them, and but that was really lovely. And then one day I was speaking to my volunteer coordinator, and I was saying that I would like to find a job, and she said, "Oh, there's jobs going at the main office in West Yorkshire for Locala. Why don't you apply?" So I thought about it, and I was ready at that point to return to work, because 3 years off with not a lot of money is hard. You want to get your career back on track.
But
I
also
applied.
the mental stimulation as well, isn't it? You know, it's lovely to be home with the kids, but actually you want to have that adult conversation and something for you. Yeah,
Definitely. And I applied for a administrator role, and it was full time. I didn't really want full time, because at that point Oliver was less than a year. Yep, and Henry would have been 6. Nope, that's wrong. 4. Sorry, maths is terrible. 4. So I went to the interview, and I'm in the interview, and the lady said, "Have you got any questions?" And I said, "Well, I don't really want full-time work." And she was like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "Well, because I wanted to apply for the job." And she was like, "Okay." So I left. You know, it wasn't abrupt or anything, but I left. You know, finished the interview, left. Anyway, I made an impression, because she rang me a month later and was like, "There's a part-time position. Would you like it?" So I started with them in, when did I start with them at Locala? In June 2017. And worked with them until August 2018 as secretary administrator.
You still volunteer with them now?
No, I don't volunteer with them now. No, I stopped it when I'd gone to work for Locala, because the workload was high, and I just didn't have the capacity. And also the baby cafes is what they call it. It's not a cafe, unfortunately, but you do get a drink. They are in the mornings and the days, so it just wouldn't work with what they were asking me to do. But at Locala, I supported the director of HR, workforce, and the director of finance. So I worked for them. I was desperate to be called PA, but they would prefer us to be administrators, secretaries.
Typical.
Yeah, well, there you go. Sometimes. So I worked with them for just over a year, and then I left to work with Helen.
So I think, what jobs have you enjoyed most, maybe, and what jobs have you enjoyed least?
Okay, let me think. So I enjoyed working for the deans, because it was at the University of Leeds, because it was our own little department. There was just me and him, whichever one I choose. There was just me and him doing what we were doing. I had a budget to run, and I was left to make decisions and to plan all his events. And we did amazing. We did interviews for positions that were funded through ESPRC, if I've got that right, but I can't remember what they stand for. But I think they are I think they're part of the STEM, you know, the engineering, the science side of things. And what we'd do is people would apply, and it would always be fixed term, but we'd bring in like young graduates, and then they would train but also get paid, and then they would move on somewhere else in the university. But I got to meet them all. I got to arrange all the interviews, the event. It was really interesting. It really was. There was a lot of scope in the role.
It sounds like a great variety in the role as well, which is as much as any of us can ask, actually. So we're not doing the same thing. And your least enjoyable role, maybe going back all those years.
I know. I worked at a flooring company in Leeds, which really wasn't for me. But I stick these things out. I stuck it out for 9 months. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't in a very nice area. There was it wasn't safe to walk around in the day. So yes, in the day. So I
Okay.
didn't really, I didn't like that so much. It wasn't for me.
So you've had a really diverse career. You know, you've gone from law firm to university to insurance. Are you corporate now or is it NHS? Because you're working. So you've kind of covered all the different like organisations and industries. Do you have a preference?
I think I've kind of chosen, even if I have done corporate like DLA, I'd chosen the fun bit, the IT bit, the bit where we did massive events for our staff, and it's I don't think I've gone down proper corporate in my mind anyway. I think I've chosen well with the people that I've ended up working for. I've got some lifelong friends from it in all the different places that I've worked. I've taken people with me along the way.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely the people that you work with actually that make the role for you. Sometimes rather than the role, and then people come with it. So it sounds like you've made fantastic choices over your career to date, and who knows where. So you've been with the current company 5 years?
No, mine at the moment.
Now.
Yeah, only nearly 2.
Oh, sorry, 2 years. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
And are there opportunities for you to progress in the role or to kind of diversify?
I don't know. I love it. I love what I do. It's so interesting. It's got the variety of the role. I'd like to think there was progression and something that I could step into. I'm not sure yet. We're a very, very young company. We've only been established since May 2018.
Oh wow!
So,
Okay, yeah.
So there's lots of scope in general in the company. And we're still growing as well. We're still recruiting. So yeah.
Fantastic. Right. So, looking back over your career, what lessons have you learned, or what do you think you've learned along the way? And it could be personally or professionally, actually.
I've learned to be true to myself. So, especially now that I'm getting older, I think you have to trust your gut instinct when it comes to those roles. You have to really trust when you go to an interview, you really have to trust how you feel, as well as all the other things that come out of that. Because you do know deep down whether or not it's a good fit or it will be. And sometimes that hasn't happened in the past, and I've regretted that because it's not the right role for me. I think it's important to stand up to workplace bullying. I think it's important to stand up for colleagues, to peers, to show that you won't take any detrimental treatment to others as well as yourself.
Okay. Is that something you've experienced? You don't have to go into any detail, but is that something you've experienced yourself?
Yes. Yes, we had a particular person a long time ago who wanted to keep everybody at a certain level. I think we all left eventually and went on to do better things, but it's not about us, it's about them, and that's what you have to think about. But also, I think some people don't have that confidence to be like, this isn't right, so we're going to try and change it to make it better. I think that comes with age, and I'm getting on now, so.
Yeah, you're so old.
I am so old with all my jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it's similar actually, but what advice would you give to your younger self? I mean, I think you just kind of touched on it anyway, actually, in what you've just said.
I think I've told her to go to university, to try hard at school. So I tell my children all the time, not because it's hard, because I don't tell them it's hard work. I tell them that I love my job. It's not hard, but you have to find your passion. I really think I found my passion with being an executive assistant. I love working with people, and I think I have I know this is not what you asked me. I just realised that.
That's okay, don't worry.
You know, having the ability to talk to people and put them at ease, which is what I did when I was, well, in all of my jobs, but as well as the volunteering as well. But I tell myself to do well in my exams. I'd probably have said to go to university the first time round, but you know, life throws you curveballs, and it's all worked out. So
yeah, there's got a comment from Jackie here to just say that you're not old.
Thanks, Jackie.
That's just one person that just said that, not for me. Brilliant. You know, you're a working mum with 2 kids, you know, family, husband, life, you know, you're incredibly busy. How do you kind of stay on top of it all? How do you think? Is there like a magic like potion that you take, or are you just very good at giving time for yourself? Or no,
I don't have time for myself. I especially during this period, I finish my work and then someone asks me for food, and I'm like, oh, I've got to cook again. Oh no, what? Especially because my youngest doesn't sleep very well, so he tends to come and find me in the night. So I'm like, oh, it's tiring. Yeah. I have a lot of resilience. I do, and I'm not being big-headed. I think you get that. I think it just comes to you. I know you know that I've been doing a lot of running as well recently to try and I don't know, keep the boredom away. God knows why I wanted to do 100 miles in May, but there you go.
So is running your chance to escape, or is it fitness?
Run away. Physically run away.
It's something that you get that time for you to go out the house and just run and kind of gets
and for years I've run and then I didn't and felt I couldn't. I don't know. I kind of got stuck. But it gives me that headspace just to get out of work mode and get away from mummy and, you know, everybody wanting to touch me all the time and so you know, and so have some time for me. And obviously the fitness is good, and I'm not fast. Anybody can do it. I'm a bit of a plodder, but I do enjoy it. Now the fire has, you know, I've relit it, if you like. Especially the challenge that I did with my colleagues recently, where we had to do 540 miles in as quickly as we could virtually. So I ran. Between us, there was 6 of us.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a virtual challenge set by my colleague Liz and her old colleagues. She came from St John's Ambulance to work with us. So they'd set it and we'd said, oh, we'll do it, because that's what you do when you're in lockdown. You're like, yes, let's do something. So they had a team of 6, we had a team of 6. And then I was running and walking and skipping a lot because I'd got a skipping rope. And then a lot of my colleagues were cycling and some were walking. But we did it. We did it in 17 days. We got us for 540 miles, and I think they came in an hour behind us. So it was such a close race.
Wow!
And we raised money for St John's Ambulance. So it was wonderful, but so hard because I think it was the hottest May we've had for a while. Yes.
Yeah, but good for you for doing that. Do you know how much you raised at the end?
I think we raised 560. So you know, a modest amount, but still, it's
honestly, in these times, that is an amazing amount that you raised, Victoria. So well done. I think if anybody's got a clap symbol they can put on here, it'd be great. But I think you should maybe organise like that for like the EPAA group, because I definitely, you know, I need to personally to be motivated. And if there's like work towards, and I'm sure a lot of people.
Oh, that's a good idea. We should do that in the group
for raising, you know, whether they charity or not. I think it's just a good, a little bit of competitiveness as well.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's really important. Just to try and keep positive. I do have days when I find it hard. I tell my mum it's like, do you remember on the Sunday night when you hadn't done your homework? I get that feeling. No. You've always done that. You've always done your homework. That's fine. But yeah, when I have done my homework now. I have. But I get that feeling, and I find it hard to lift. So it's just trying to find things that keep people on track. And I think this this situation we're all in at the moment, even though some people out there seem to think it's back to normal, and it definitely isn't. It's hard, and I think we have to remember to make sure people are okay, because it's having an effect on people whether they realize it or not. I mean, my two are arguing a lot. I think that's what happens when you're brothers, but more so because they're all they're seeing is each other all of the time. Yeah.
But as you say, you have to be kind to yourself. In your situation, Victoria, you're working, you're running a house, you're doing the best you can in the situation, and actually you're doing a really good job. So when those moments that you're feeling down and you're having a wobble, and I think we all are at the moment, you just have to go, you know what, it's just sometimes about the small little wins of the day, and not feeling like we need to have these perfect lives still and be achieving. And it's just, so
I think you're right, and I think unfortunately social media makes us compare ourselves. Like an angel. I think social media makes us compare ourselves to others, and I think that's quite negative sometimes for people. So I try and only follow the people that are very positive and authentic, because and I think that's super important. Like, I will put stuff on Facebook and Instagram that is what is happening, because a lot of the time they are arguing and someone's looking for snacks in my pocket, and keeping it real, because if someone else out there will also be like, yeah, okay, I got you. I hear you, what you're saying. I think that's really important.
And what do you think, this is quite a hard question maybe, where do you see the future of our profession going? I mean, like, in your head, what are your thoughts and ideas of maybe the next generation, or just where we're seeing going forward? So it's a very full question. Say whatever you like.
I'd like to, I was thinking about this the other day actually. I'd like to go back to my old school and speak to the students about what it is that we do as executive assistants, because nobody did that when I was at school. Nobody, you knew people who were doctors and dentists and nurses and things, and all sorts of people, but nobody came in and said, this is a really good career, it's exciting, there's loads of variety, you can meet some fantastic people and make some great friends and contacts. There's nobody explained, because I think at that point it was the secretary had a bad reputation. But if we don't empower the young people and help them understand, we won't, there'll be nobody to take our places, if you like, when we get too old. But also it's just a great job. So I was thinking about that the other day. Ask me again, see if I can think of something else to say. Where would I see it going?
Try to think of reframing it. I don't know really. Oh, you've thrown me now. Sorry, but that's okay. Do you think? Can you see? It sounds like you're so passionate about what you do. From this, what you're saying now is, for you, you're always going to kind of be being an EA going forward. Do you think maybe?
I think so. I definitely want to empower my team to be the best they can be. I can't tell you where my career will take me next. I'm loving what I'm doing right now. I obviously everybody. Well, I'm not saying obviously everybody, but I'd like to progress. I want to develop myself. It's finding that right role or qualification or the next thing. I studied sign language for a year when I was pregnant with Oliver, because, as I say, I can't keep still and not develop myself. I have a real issue. So I can sign with the deaf community, and I was going to finish the level 1, have Oliver, and then do the level 2, but finances didn't work because it's expensive. But that's another skill to have, I suppose. And
anything on your list that you want to learn next? Even during lockdown, about anything? You've done a degree as well, so
I started baking again. I'd only made buns forever, and I'm now making cakes. So they're really nice and keeping everybody, fat. But yeah, they're really tasty. So, but no, I don't know. I'd like to do another qualification. I would, but I don't know what in. So I'm having some thoughts about that at the moment to see where that would take me.
Yeah.
Anybody on the comments want to recommend anything? That's fine. But yeah, I'd like to go back to my singing as well, because I haven't been able to join a choir properly. So I joined one at the university when I worked there. They had a choir. They had 3 actually. They had 2 for students and 1 for staff. So I sang there, and I sang all through my childhood, all the way up in all the productions at school. And then I was in a choir when I was pregnant with Henry, and then I couldn't really escape at night to go. So I haven't been back to one. So when this is all over, I'd like to go and join another choir, because that just fills my heart with joy. And I'm not being, that is just how I feel about singing.
But that's how music makes you feel, doesn't it? It does. It's meant to make you soar and take you away. Oh, fantastic. Well, look.
I sing to my children most nights, to be honest.
Sorry?
I sing to my children most nights, especially the little ones. Yeah.
What do you say, nursery rhymes or I
sing him show pieces. so I sing him. I sing stuff from Annie. I sing Let's Go Fly a Kite. I sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Bless him. And I sing stuff from Les Mis. He's just like,
okay. You do record as well. Fantastic.
Yeah. He doesn't. Yeah, bless him. He's usually asleep, and I'm getting louder, and the big one's going, "Be quiet."
No time for taste. Somebody on the chat has just said that they're doing Adam Fiddler's EA Diploma Level 4. He's an awesome trainer. So, I mean, I've seen Adam. I think most of us have probably seen Adam talk, but maybe that's something to consider.
I've just got his newsletter through the post, so I'm going to have a read of that. Actually, here it is. Yes. So I'm gonna read in that. I got that today, so that was really nice.
Lovely. So just conscious of time, is there anything else kind of you'd like to share or kind of say about your experience of being with EPAA?
Oh gosh, I love it. I remember following Vic on LinkedIn and desperately wanting to join, but didn't have the right, even though I had experience, I didn't have the right title, if you like, at that point. So when I got my job with Helen, I joined straight away. It's a wealth of knowledge and experience, and just a lovely community. I think you guys do a fantastic job to empower the people that we have in our group and other people who may be wanting to join. It's great. Do join. We're very welcoming, aren't we, Deborah?
We are very welcome. Yeah, and as you said, it is a community more so than probably any other membership or network that I've ever experienced. And as I said to begin with, that with the coffee chats we're having, it's just been a really good opportunity to get to meet everybody on a more personal level. I don't think any of us had really connected before, so personally it's been really good to getting to know you, finding out you're having good weeks, bad weeks, kids popping in the video room. Yeah. Out again, and it's been
snacks. I'm telling you, that's what they do. Especially the little one.
You can't tie kids up, can you, nowadays? You have to kind of.
No, I'm not allowed to anymore. Yeah. I really have. I think it's coming to its own in this period as well. I think we've risen to the challenge, haven't we, in the EPAA group? We've got new members coming in all the time, which is just wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's really lovely. But the conferences are amazing, and when Vic did the virtual one, just out of this world. We're so lucky. I honestly feel so lucky to be part of this group, and I think when we next meet face to face, it's going to change the dynamics completely.
Yeah, well, I think Vic is maybe watching behind the scenes, so I'm sure she'll really appreciate your comments, and that having everybody on board as part of EPAA is. We all make it alive. We all kind of make EPAA happen. Obviously, Vic is driving it, but we're all kind of sharing the same message, I think. But
she just does it with little or no sleep as well.
Yes, God knows how she does it. But another comment here: best £100 spent in a year. So that's fantastic as well. Yeah. What else have we got here? Yeah, just. Everybody's just really, they're saying how much they've enjoyed tonight's talk with you, and just thank you very much for giving up your time this evening, Victoria. It's been great to hear your career journey so far, and I look forward to whatever you decide to do next. And yeah, until next time, guys, we'll see you all soon. So thank you again.
Thanks, Deborah. It's been lovely.
Okay, take care. Bye, bye, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Bye, guys.
Bye.